Frequency, where global news meets frontline sales thinking. We are Jesus Llamazares and Will Esquire from Consale in London. Good morning, Will.
Good morning, Jesus. Happy to be
Yeah,
here.
thank you. And we have already with us Miguel Flavian, our great guest today. Good morning, Miguel.
Hi, good morning, everyone.
Okay, we will be with you in a minute. So, yeah, it's a sunny day. We will reach 16 Celsius in London, so that's fantastic. And we have some sun. Do you think that Brexit reset brought us the good weather from Southern Europe? Well, we'll see. So this is what this week we are going to be discussing: the UK-EU post-Brexit trade reset. There have been a lot of news in the media this week, but we believe it's not just about tariffs or fish, right? It's about how we rebuild trust in cross-border selling. So European companies that conducted business with the UK face significant challenges after Brexit, requiring substantial investments in new bureaucracy and processes. While the pros remain unchanged, the increased complexity led many to stop dealing with the UK, right? And focus on other markets. Now, with rules set to change again, trust is a major concern. So SMEs and artisans are heavily impacted, while large corporations may pass on the effects to consumers through reduced quality, delays, and limited choices. By the way, a little piece of history. Did you know that the Cobden Chevalier Treaty in 1860 was a pioneer in free trade? So long before the EU formation, the UK and France signed this treaty in 1860. This landmark agreement significantly reduced tariffs between the two nations and introduced the most favored nation clause, setting a precedent for future international trade agreements. So the treaty is often credited with ushering in a golden age of free trade. Just a piece of history. So so what we have from this week, we've been hearing about the 12 years fishing agreement, reduced food plant trade friction, job mobility schemes, access to a multi-billion defense fund. But this is not just diplomatic, right? It's a strategy for sales. This may reshape how we sell, who we hire, and how we build trust in markets that, to be honest, have been a little bit fragmented over the last years. We see that the exports in European to the European Union from the UK has dropped in this post-Brexit era, right? For the food and drink has been around 34%. For other categories, might be or like around 10%, right? So we have and we've seen some issues and some problems with some of the UK entrepreneurs, like this history from the cheesemaker that had to really stop the business after Brexit. Before we go to speak with Miguel, we would like to share with you the poll, right? The poll's question for this week is: what's the biggest opportunity in the UK-EU Brexit reset for sales teams? Is it easier access to EU clients? Is it reduced export red tape? Is it talent mobility with this job scheme? Or is it something about defense or infrastructure projects? So we have Eddie and George in the operations team behind. They are managing everything. So please put your vote, and we will tell you at the end of the session where is the vote going. And finally, just one final reminder, please, if you want to make a question, just give an insight, a comment, please use the chat, use the LinkedIn, use everything that Eddie and George are going to be sharing with you. And if you want to take the mic, please go ahead, as we do today with Miguel. So Miguel, you are the head of foreign trade at Spanish Chamber of Trade in London. So I think this kind of a trade between Spain and the UK is something quite usual in your life, right, over the last years.
Yes, at the Spanish Chamber of Commerce, our focus is to help Spanish and British companies to trade both ways. We are helping Spanish companies to bring here all the delicious food, wines, and also services, like maybe building airports or roads as well, or bringing nice clothes. And also we are helping British companies to offer their services to Spanish companies and products. Obviously, Brexit has been a big disruption, and from the notes that you passed me before the conversation, I think The trust is the big word here.
Yeah.
Trust, the separate going out of the market meant for the sales team that they need to adapt to a new way of doing businesses between European Union and United Kingdom, uh, and nobody knew what was going to be the final treaty, what was going to be the implications for my products, for my services. And this has been very painful for the companies. First, how is going to be the implementation of the new circumstances? Like especially for the companies dealing with products, they need to transfer goods from the borders, through the borders, and this has been very very difficult for British companies that they have found difficult to export to European Union, and the Spanish and European companies to bring them here. But also for the companies offering services, before you could, bring your teams over here to do whatever they had to do, to give some training, to do some after sales for the equipment you have sold, etc. And that now is much more difficult because of the mobility issue that you mentioned before. So, I mean, this has impacted the sales function, many other functions of the companies, and then they need to, they've been struggling to adapt and looking for or very eager to find a bit of like certainty on this process and stability, which hopefully seems we have found now.
Miguel, just a quick question. Do you feel now that we've had this sort of reset sort of deal with the EU that trust is quickly going to be built up between, say the Spanish and the UK trading relationship, or do you think this is going to take time, or what's your opinion on this?
One of the I don't know, like Jesus surely will agree with me. One of the things we say in Spain about the British, or one of the good things we say about the British in Spain, is that they are very practical people. So for many of us in the kind of international relationship, it was shocking what happened about Brexit and the red lines they set up. But you can see slowly how the waters get calmed down. Where they're looking for common sense and make it easier for everybody. And hopefully the agreement they announced on Monday, the lines of work they want to start, or they want to develop, they seem all very very practical. I mean, the defense agreement, or to be able for British companies to participate in the safe project of European Union, it's very very important. UK manufacturers of weapons is very important industry. If they need to access to this kind of big bag of money only by themselves without this institutional support, it would have been very difficult for the sales teams, because it means you need to do a lot of documentation, certifications, etc. Like this is like they make it easier for you to score the goal.
So Miguel, I think the conversations this week are trying to set up a framework between European Union and the UK, but this is more a kind of a, let's say, a framework from the governments, right? What are the companies? What are you hearing from companies right now? Are they in both sides? Are they taking this new reset like a new era? So are they starting to already think about changing their market entry strategies, changing the way they do business, changing the way they do distribution? So are you starting to hear something about that from companies both sides?
Probably it's very early to discuss about this, because things are not yet in paper. But what we've seen is that since summer, the government has tried to take a different approach towards European Union, and this is seen as positive. At the Spanish Chamber of Commerce, every year we do a survey among the Spanish companies that are investing in the UK. Investing may mean like buying a building or buying a factory or buying companies, or you have got an office in the UK and you want to expand your office, hire more people, etc. And generally for these companies, they have got a positive perspective of the British market, of the United Kingdom market. Why? uh, it's a very important market for us, for the Spanish companies. We do a lot of work, especially services, as well as selling a lot of products, and the relationship has been very, very close for many years. Like I think you mentioned historic fact at the beginning of our chat. I think to used to build on that history facts. The second ever Spanish ambassador in a foreign country was the British, the one in the United Kingdom during the Henry VIII times, I think. First we had the one in Vatican because we had to sort out things with God. We're Spanish at the end of the day, and the second one was about relationship, the king's wives and whatever. So we sent here an ambassador, and that's why the relationship is very, very long, and is very, very important. So like whatever the economic or the political circumstances is, the Spanish companies are very interested in the British market, and they will always try to struggle and do their best to sell here. Having said that, there is also always this kind of practicality where the business want to earn money. After all, they have got their purposes and things, but also they want to earn money. And when it's been more difficult to sell here, some of them have looked to other markets.
Yeah.
But this is a global issue. Like with the Trump tariffs, the companies have been looking also for other markets to avoid, the loss of business that could mean for them, and this maybe will benefit in the midterm the British market with more Spanish companies looking to sell here. We are in the global world, and everything affects us.
Yeah, I know that you are quite one of your specialities is the supermarkets in the UK and the food, etc. Right? So we've been hearing. I was hearing an interview with the Chancellor this week. She was talking about the great deal they've done, etc. And in particular, she was talking about the food and drinks, right? So she was talking about the positives, which is being able to have access to European Union products in the UK, or or that the UK products may have better access in the European Union countries, which I fully understand and take. But she was also talking about that potentially this will drive a reduce in the pricing in the supermarkets, right? How do you see that? Do you see that becoming real? Because I see also some other side of the coin where maybe UK small producers that are not going out of the UK might be impacted as well. So probably that there is a kind of a difference between different type of size of companies and reach, etc. I don't know. What do you think about this vertical?
So, I mean, if I think about the chancellor and the messages he has to pass through the society, of course, he has to look for positive points. And then, yeah, we have agreed to reduce the paperwork requirements for the products go through the customs. This is supposed to be some savings. Whether they are going to arrive or not to the point of sale, to the price, this is difficult. The companies have been also increased. They are facing increased taxes. They have increased their national insurance. The uh, grocers are very sensible to the minimum wage as well, because they have got a lot of workforce. It's very manual work, and you need to employ a lot of people in every store and in every warehouse. So there's been a raise on these taxes as well recently, and has impacted them. So I mean, it's going to be difficult. Plus, also, as I was saying before, we are in this kind of like global commodity markets. We've had 2 or 3 very bad years for oil. Now the price of oil is dropping, and it's going to have an impact on the prices of these products. Coffee, cocoa is increasing. We've got the Russian invasion on Ukraine that has impacted a lot in the sunflower and in the wheat global markets. I mean, so it's so difficult to predict this, and obviously what she's doing is very clever. Just try to link the government agreement with European Union with some positive elements that the British people can feel in their pockets to make increase the trust of the citizens in the economy and the confidence, because this is good for them. If you have got like happy citizens, they will think about spending more because they will have a bit more confidence in the future, and this will reactivate the economy.
That's great. That's great. I think we would like to now maybe move into the mindsets thing. No, Will, because we always talk about the four mindsets, and there is one in particular I will be interested to maybe get into discussion with Miguel, which is the tactful audacity. And if right, what do you think, Will? Should we?
Yeah, we can talk about the mindsets, but I think I just wanted to pick up very quickly on what Miguel said and put this in the sort of sense of what's happening in the world, where there is so much uncertainty, with the US trade tariffs and Brexit. Since Brexit, the UK has arguably been fairly isolated, and the fact that although it's quite controversial to have this sort of mini Brexit reset, the fact that trading organizations, UK, EU, for example, UK, US, are having conversations and are managing to unlock kind of trade barriers is a really positive thing. Certainly is a positive thing for the UK, and it does link to the sales mindsets. So Miguel, and for those that are listening, Consalia, based on a piece of doctoral research a number of years ago, have identified 4 key sales mindsets that customers look for, which I think are quite relevant when you look at it from a macro and a micro level. They're client centricity, proactive creativity, tactful audacity, and authenticity. And when we speak to clients about these 4 sales mindsets, we often say, client centricity and authenticity are the 2 that you really need in order to establish trust, when you're engaging with a client. But where the magic happens, where you can co-create value and really unlock the larger opportunities, is when you're starting to behave in a way that is tactfully audacious and proactively creative. So that gives you a sense of the mindsets. But as you mentioned, you wanted to focus in on one, that was tactfully audacious.
Tactful audacious, yeah, because I think, yeah.
Yeah, how come? Why that one in particular? I'm intrigued.
Well, I think there is I mean, there was a big change when the Brexit came in, right? I should admit some changes were more on paper rather than in practical terms, because I know that in customs many new processes have been delayed for months and even for years, but they came, right? But I see people like we have an example with White Farms. Is a Somerset-based cheese producer that when the Brexit came in, with all these export challenges to the European Union, they responded by constructing a consolidation center. So they were quite, tactfully audacious in the way of how we transform a challenge into an opportunity. So I just wanted to ask Miguel if he has seen, maybe not now with the reset because it's very early days, it's not everything in paper as he says, but if you've seen in the past some companies in any side of the coin, right, in any side of the pond, that have been tactfully audacious and have moved a step farther to overcome the Brexit, for instance, or the problems we are having between the two regions.
Yeah, definitely. For example, on the wake of Brexit, some Spanish fresh produce companies set up their own company in the United Kingdom before they could sell directly to the clients from Spain and invoice them, deal with the relationship very, very easily. But then, since the Brexit and the custom processes, some of them found it easier to set up the company, do the internal sale, and then sell to their clients from a British company. This created a bit more trust to the clients because they had the feeling they're dealing with a plus 44 phone number, which helps a bit to create trust. Made it a bit more like prompt the payments, and also they had less issues with the customs because the company, Spanish company, could manage a bit like buffer the flow, could manage better the flows. Obviously, some other industries like the automotive industries, they cannot do this because they are working just in time and they had to adjust their processes to the new reality of the customs. The example of white farms is very, very good, and it reminds me also that this problem is same for big companies like Fortune and Mason. I think everybody knows the brand Fortune and Mason, the premium or ultra premium retailer in London, and then one of the big businesses is selling the hampers on Christmas.
Yeah.
If you need to send one hamper through the customs, it's a nightmare because it's got many different products, some of them with meat or dairy, fish, etc. And they just gave up selling hampers to Europe. They couldn't manage. It wasn't like how can I say, like they weren't earning money with that. They were losing. So what they did is create another consolidation center. I think this time was in Belgium, where they were sending pallets of their products, trying to forecast sales, and then serving all the European markets from Belgium. That was great for Belgium. They get another company, they create
Yeah.
some more sales and things like that. So there's been this kind of both ways. More companies in the UK to assist the exporters, and more companies in Europe to assist also the British exporters.
Yeah, in this case, there is a trade-off, right? Because you have to establish the company in Belgium, so you have a cost around that, not just on the setup, but also on the people, etc. But on the other side, you are not sending one by one to the end customer, right? So you are sending in a bulk to a country which is already in Europe under European trade free trade agreement, right? So that's good. That's good. So Miguel, I know that the chamber is I mean, the members of the chamber are both Spanish and British companies. I mean, are you planning to do any special events or any special things, or because of this new reset, or is the chamber thinking about something, or is too early maybe because it's just a few days?
Yeah, like any business organization, we are doing what our members ask us to do.
The shareholders,
It's a
yes.
no-brainer.
The shareholders.
So what we are just asking them, what's the impact, what do you want to do, etc. Obviously, we have got a link with the DBT and the Foreign Office, etc. And what we are trying to do is just bring people together, and if they've got questions or issues, try to help them by connecting them with the right people that can sort it out. But again, as I say, like the trend is positive. Seems that the two blocks are getting nearer. There's good, how can I say, goodwill on both of them, but still, it's very early to see what's the impact of everything. And if something we have learned from the last 10 years is that you have to expect the unexpected. You cannot just rely on what you have seen in the last few months. You have to have your scenarios ready and think how you're going to react to each one of them, because you never know what can happen.
Yeah, that's true. That's like a crystal ball. Do you think we will start to have more trade missions between the two countries now that
Yeah, definitely. If the entry conditions are easier. There will be more companies that are willing to try, especially those that were selling before Brexit. Think that before Brexit, for example, as you say, before, I'm expert in food. That's my kind of passion.
Yeah.
And before, like smaller artisan producers from Spain could send parcels to British restaurants.
Yeah.
They could send them directly because for them was the same as sending a parcel to Madrid. So it was very easy, the one market, great. Now, obviously, this link is broken. So these small artisans have been looking for importers to work with, etc. Importer obviously has got a portfolio of products. They cannot just have 25 reference of tin muscles. They will have maybe the cheap one, the super expensive one, and maybe two or three in the middle with different attributes, organic one, etc. And that's it. They are a business, not a museum. They need to, the stock needs to rotate and they need to sell it. So these artisan small companies, maybe they're cut from their clients. If things are getting a bit more easier nearer, maybe in the future this kind of business can be reestablished. So that's our role, just to pay attention to this and be on top of the potential market opportunities. And then spread them and let them know, the Spanish companies and British companies.
Great. Thank you very much, Miguel. Yeah, I don't know, Will, do you want to do a close remark or something?
Well, no, but thank you so much, Miguel, for joining us today. It's been really interesting to hear from your perspective. I guess the opportunity that hopefully lies ahead for Spanish commerce in the UK, but broadly speaking the EU as well. But also to hear how companies have responded in the post-Brexit. I mean, it's great to hear from you firsthand. I think from my perspective, this is the great step in the right direction. If we can open up trade conversations, there are opportunities to be had, and the easier that institutions can make it in order to trade, the better. And I think it's the better for everyone. But yes, it requires a mindset change as well, I think. And I guess it's early days, but I just question whether or not there is a cautious attitude now between the EU wanting to trade with the UK, considering what we did back in 2016. but hopefully that's not the case, and hopefully there's a real willingness and an opportunity to really kind of open up the conversations, and then as you say, Miguel, open the doors to allow restaurants and small producers as well as large producers wanting to trade with us. Jesus, what do you think?
Okay, no, yeah, I definitely think it's a first step, as Miguel is saying. It's not still in paper. I want to see it in paper, and I want to see it. And my prediction is that there will be companies stepping up. Maybe the ones that were doing trading pre-Brexit, right? There will be others thinking about it, but maybe waiting a little bit to see how everything stabilizes, because there have been too many waves. We've had the Trump tariffs wave, then the back forth, then we have this Brexit reset. So yeah, but I think it's the right step in the right direction. And we need to see how the small UK entrepreneurs are going to be favored or not. I mean, that's maybe my only piece of concern. So thank you very much, Miguel, for today. On the poll, just to let you know, you guys, the poll is saying that 67% or more than 60% will think that the easier access to European Union clients might be the biggest opportunity, and then only around 33% reduce export on the red tape. So the poll will still be continue open for a couple of days. So please go ahead if you want, and we can see if the numbers change. But remember, this is for you guys. Sales frequency is a space we have created with love, with care, with professionalism. We have Eddie and George in the back. Will and me are doing our best in this kind of informal chat, and of course with great guests like Miguel from the Spanish Chamber of Commerce in UK. As I mean, it elevates the conversation, of course. So same time, same place next Thursday. We will try to announce the topic before the weekend. We are really trying to learn by doing and try hard. So please follow Consalia on the LinkedIn and drop us any questions you may have, or if you want to, us to discuss about any news or any actual news that may affect impact sales, please do so. Thank you very much. It's 9 o'clock. Thank you very much and have a great day. Thank you, Will.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks a lot.